Well, good morning. Good to be here on Wednesday and kicking everything off at 9 a.m. Thanks to the last basketball game of the year with another victory of the regular season. Yeah, 20-4. Playoffs start next week, and we got a really great seed. So it should be a really interesting run over the next 2 or 3 weeks. We'll see how the girls do, but certainly satisfying as a dad to sit up there and watch. But yeah, late night. It's hard to come down after all that adrenaline. So yeah, 5 and 6 can watch the video, and you guys get the live stuff today. But we're continuing to go through depression, talking this week about avoiding it. And yes, I think it's possible, or even if you just say it's mitigating depression and decreasing the chances of it happening. Writing on Monday in that email, three things to highlight, three important things. First, I think, is if you deal with the stuff from your past, you make it less likely you'll have depression going forward. Because if you're carrying a lot of struggles, thoughts, difficulties, sometimes people call them wounds, then you face something else now or in the short near future, it's like you get knocked down again, it's hard to get back up. So it's like this idea of take time and look back and see if there's anything lingering. So in fact, it's one of the homework assignments to just go through and think through this timeline of your life and go back 5 or 10 year chunks and just think, is there anything there that I've been ignoring? Because I think if people have been ignoring something from that time, they're exhausting part of their physical and mental and emotional energy, which puts them at risk for some negative moods or some bigger effects of something in the present or the future. So it's a key homework assignment this week. The second recommendation from the email is don't tolerate a part of your life that isn't the way you want. Right? We have this phrase in our culture that says, it is what it is. Right? And just kind of, oh, okay. It is what it is. You just got to go with it. And it drives me nuts when that happens because I don't want people just to think well, this is all I can do, right? Certainly Bill and I are invested in just not having people kind of coast through life and just deal with pain. We want them to overcome it and be able to do it. So if there's an area of life, physical, mental, emotional, intellectual, let's say, spiritual, if there's an area of your life that is not going the way you want, please do something about it because I think it strengthens you overall. And the stronger you are, globally or holistically, the easier it is to encounter a setback or something in every area of your life and not have it increase the chances of a depression. And then finally, you've heard me say this before, is just get help sooner, right? Resist that little voice that says, it's not that bad, or I can do this on my own, or no one else really struggles with this, or I'm weak if I go get help, whatever it might be. It's kind of this obstacle they want people to get over. So the other homework assignments kind of related to that, don't tolerate an area of your life that's not good, is just examine that. Make this list and just think, what am I doing in these particular parts of who I am that's bringing me joy and helping me be successful? Because the more you have something active and present, the more you're filling yourself up constantly, the more reserve and margin you have to deal with setbacks. So a practical, important week. Because it's this idea, I think, if people are intentional and proactive, they're increasing the chances of nothing bad happening, right? You want to have a good relationship, keep investing in that relationship, and it lowers the chances that something's going to go awry and cause a problem. Physical health, if you're taking care of your physical body continually, eating right, sleeping right, hydrating, working out, you probably decrease the chance there's an injury or something else that happens. But mental health is the same way, to keep investing in it so you have more capacity. But along those lines of ideas to help you increase joy in your life, because I think if there's an opposite word sort of depression, a depression that just kind of zaps people's energy, takes away their outlook, makes them feel terrible about themselves, joy is kind of this opposite of that, right? Something that lingers with us, that kind of overarches over different events of our day, and it can fill us well. So found this list from Mayo Clinic that talks about some really interesting things. And this is a list of ideas to help you increase joy in your life by focusing on some of these things. So I'll post it on the handout as well. First, they just talk about their definition that happiness is an emotion, whereas joy is more of a state of being, right? And I really like that because people say, I just want to be happy. And I'm like, well, happiness varies, right? Happy birthday, it's a great day, and the next day's low. But if you're always striving for joy in these areas, it's much more consistent. So their advice, focus on what you control. You've heard me say wise people know their limits, right? So accept what you can deal with and let go of what you can't. By focusing on what you control, you don't get frustrated, you don't get agitated. You have a little bit more margin to be able to deal with bad events that come. Second, expressing gratitude. When you verbalize it or share it with others, it puts your mind in a good position. If you've ever been in a situation where you're really struggling, but then you see someone struggling worse, and you do something for them, and then you're grateful to be able to help, they're grateful for what happens, you both feel better. I mean, it's very measurable to see how gratitude helps us feel better. This is an important one. Assume good intent, right? Give benefit of the doubt to other people. Too often, I think we get frustrated, we get isolated, or we assume the worst, and we don't want that done for ourselves. So if you can give benefit of the doubt to other people, I think there's going to be less negativity inside of you. Again, a proactive effort to not feel negative that could get you closer to depression. Mayo also recommends concentrate on building relationships, right? We've talked in the past weeks, even the past months, about how other people inject strength into us. They give us support, they give us ideas, they give us the things that we need. And finally, they say, keep perspective. I like that one because it just means like, keep today, and tomorrow might be something different. Too often we get into black and white thinking errors and catastrophize and say, it's never going to get better, or it's always this way. And things like journaling we talked about last week or the week before helps us just keep track of variation and where it goes. So this website is great. They even have 4 self-directed programs to feel better. So it's really nice. The link is there. If you click on it, there's 4 different programs they have with some material you can download and follow yourself, like a gratitude journal, I think was one of them. So it's not that you have to travel to Rochester to go get some help. They've tried to really extend that information, and that's why I was excited to come across that website, because like we do, we're trying to just pass on information so people don't have to encounter trouble and then get help. If we can be proactive, then they don't need help in the first place. So tying us into today, here are a couple questions. Is there a challenge that you went through in life that you were proud of how you responded, right? Maybe you pulled something back from a cliff that you felt like, this is going to really knock me down. I might get really discouraged or disappointed or depressed, but you navigated it. Is there a success, something that was really difficult that you kind of overcame? Because that's a part of feeling good, is giving yourself credit for things that you did well. Any examples? The goofy broken wrist.
At not the best time, right before Christmas, and concerts, church, there's so much going on. But I made it through, and I think it was good.
Yeah, that is a great example. Something that very easily could say, well, now everything is affected or everything is ruined. Our minds go to spots. So to have a good attitude and remember when you're here working out still, like day 2, that's pretty good. I'm not going to let it pull me down. I'm not going to let it keep me from things. It's a great example. Any others?
Tree decorated.
Yeah, by all these lovely people.
I have another example, but it's kind of related to Lynn's. I just felt like I was coming back off of my Achilles injury after 3 years, and I went and ran an agility trial, and I tore my quad muscle. And so I hobbled around all weekend, and everybody's like, "Oh, I can't believe it!" And I'm like, "Hey, I'm just looking at it now. I have more time to heal the tendon." And they're like, "I can't believe you're taking it that way." I'm like, "Well, I guess I am." Yeah. And so I did feel good about that. I'm like, I'm still happy. I'm still here. I'm still participating. I'm limping. I'm not doing exactly how I want to be doing, but I'm doing.
Yeah, good example. Focusing on what you can control. Focusing on a reframe that just helps you not get pulled down into
preps. I wanted to cry, but I didn't. I'm like, I'm not going home. I'm going to stand.
Really good examples. Any others? Those are great. Give yourself credit for those things when you think of them later today. Second question, what helps you face the hard parts of your life and walk into them bravely, right? We've often talked about unexpected events, but the reality is some of us know what's coming. We know that something hard's going to happen next month or next week. So what helps you just go into it proactively, intentionally, bravely? because I think that's a part of not getting discouraged and depressed, is just giving yourself the heads up, something's coming, and to brace yourself and be able to go forward. So what comes to mind on that? What helps you face hard parts of life and do it well?
I guess just kind of making plans going into it.
Hmm.
Don't wait until, you're like, wow, this is going to change. I should start preparing myself mentally for this.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
just planning.
Sure. Yeah, planning, getting the self-talk right ahead of time. It's a really good example. Yeah. Others?
I think like being honest with yourself and just confirming like, okay, this is probably gonna happen.
Yeah.
And rather than just pretending it isn't and being in denial about it,
Mm-hmm.
just facing it head on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
Approaching it.
really good example. Just being honest with yourself is just the perfect small phrase, because that's what the homework assignment's about. Be honest with yourself that you're not coming into today as exactly how you want to be, perhaps. There's some things that you need to deal with or accept that might affect your day, your week, your month, your year. So those are really great examples. Any others on either question? You guys are hitting home runs today. It's good.
For me, it's my faith, because I know God's got a plan for me,
Mm.
whatever it is. I might not agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be on my time,
Mhm.
but I trust Him completely.
Yeah.
So I know it's coming. Pray a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. Doubling down on spiritual disciplines for sure. Yeah. Trusting a faith that you're not controlling what you can, or you're not in control of it. So keep your head up, go from there. Really great answers. Some final comments here about avoiding depression. I think number one, things that weigh down your heart, if you deal with them, it helps your heart feel better. Now, it sounds like a simple phrase, but all too often, I think, again, that is what it is. People just assume that if I'm 80% of the way I want to be, that's good enough. Right? They just kind of coast through, like, shrug your shoulders, and that's good enough. And I don't want anybody to settle in that. I'm sure Bill doesn't want anybody to settle in that physically. I don't want it mentally or emotionally or anything else. So please recognize what's weighing down your heart. And that's the challenge, that you have to examine that yourself. If you're carrying a backpack with a bunch of stuff that people keep putting stuff in, and it's literally you're hunched over and you can barely walk, someone would be like, hey, can I help you? And what are you doing? You can barely walk. But internally, we do that a lot, and nobody can tell unless you speak up and share that this is weighing you down. Second, I would say the courage to keep going, that brave kind of approach to what's coming when we know it's coming. It leads to perseverance, which leads to endurance, which leads to wisdom and insights. That's the best reframe when it comes to hard things and maybe things that disappoint us or discourage us or cause us to be depressed, is we're learning the whole time. So if you can remember what that is and then kind of bring it to your mind when you need it, it helps you persevere, endure, and gain wisdom as you go forward. So even if it feels like nothing's happening, because the same day seems like it's repeating, people are remembering things, learning things, and it will help you in the long term. And then finally, just saying this again, because I can't hit it enough, unaddressed stressors, emotions, and thoughts cause real pain and distress. So don't run from them, face them. And if you can't face them on your own, that's why we talk about community around here. That's why we talk about finding a mentor or somebody to talk to or to speak to a counselor, because they just wear you down, right? We've all been in situations you just get exhausted. And so the quicker you talk and deal with those things that are just accumulating, the easier it will be to be proactive against depression. So that's when I say we can avoid depression. Yes, I think so. We can't avoid hard things that might lead to it, but we can try and be as prepared and vigilant as possible, and it will go better. So a good week to talk about these things, passionate about it for sure myself. But next week, we'll talk about some stories, because I think we get inspired by people who have overcome really hard things or have endured through really difficult situations. And sometimes there's a message to take out of that that can really carry us through hard times. So I will see you guys next Wednesday as well. Have a good day. Have a good workout. Thank you.